Welcome to our latest series on sustainability in the construction and quarrying industries, where we put the questions to leaders from Cummins, Volvo Construction Equipment, and Topcon Positioning Systems. Here we ask, what's sustainability going to cost? And what's really involved? What infrastructure is essential for creating a sustainable construction site or quarry, and how will the necessary support capabilities be developed and financed? How might the implementation of new technologies affect the overall cost of ownership?
I think probably when we begin to start to look at these things, the first thing we begin to look at is we've talked a little bit about operational planning and design, but I think you also need to begin to think about the digital twin and digitization, right? And it's being able to plan that work and then execute the plan, right? And it's the ability for contractors to be able to use these kind of digital tools to accurately assess an opportunity, accurately then deliver with on-time performance to come in on time and on budget. And in many cases, those are the things that begin to truly drive and enable the technology for adoption.
Jeremy, I would like your thoughts on this.
Yeah, from a prime mover perspective, which is obviously the lens that I'm answering from, it all comes back to scale, right? Having some ability to generate scale is key. Ideal solutions are going to have a balance of CapEx, OpEx, and somebody mentioned earlier, I believe, operational integration. Like, how does that technology fit into the site? Like, those three have to come together. In our world, when we think about future solutions, typically for off-highway markets, they tend to have a genesis in heavy-duty on-highway. Right, so we learn from there, we build scale there, and then that offers opportunity to port that over into off-highway spaces. Can't stress enough that further development in internal combustion engines is a core part of our strategy. And off the backs of those future emission regs that we're designing for and releasing platforms for in automotive, we expect we're going to see more stringent off-highway emissions come in, probably early in the next decade. And when you look a little bit beyond that, those platforms are really going to be the enabler for the fuel agnostic platforms that Cummins has talked about, right? Being able to consume hydrogen, natural gas, depending on your market, diesel, biofuels in one platform. So that's kind of our approach to build scale. And obviously, when you build scale in those products, the storage, the generation of something like hydrogen as a fuel, very complementary, right? We're building that out. We're able to consume it in combustion engine form now, and that's going to enable fuel cells to take over at some point in a future state.
Pontus, I want to ask you about the implementation and how might the implementation of new technologies affect the overall cost of ownership?
The capex will go up, the initial investment, of course, that we see initially. The ownership cost will go down, so it's about getting the acceptance for the longer payback. But from our side, it's also to help the customers removing the risk, having alternative business models, equipment as a service, or different type of leasing models. And here we must differ on the power at site investment, sort of the stationary investment versus the product investment. So there are different ways to drive the transformation and the change.
Right. I think Pontus is exactly right. And I think that when you begin to look at the subscription model, right, the idea that pay for performance and the idea that users want to be able to get the updates, right, and always get the latest and greatest with respect to their capabilities. And so when we as vendors enable that through different business models, that helps both the customer as well as create long-term benefits and reduce long-term cost.